I mean, it's crazy to think, isn't it, that when Tom and myself had this discussion about this time I was going to spend with you and what we were going to talk about, we never thought that we'd find ourselves in this situation. We never thought that we would be relying so heavily on technology to try to bring normality to the day for our children, that their education can continue. And we are really fortunate to have such a wonderful wealth of tools available to us. And what should have been, like, in some ways a gradual learning curve, has always in getting used to using these tools, has become very steep all of a sudden. So yeah, at any point, if you see it, if I mention anything, please just jump in and ask away, and I'll try and answer it as best as I can. And if not, the wonderful thing about being part of the MIEE expert community is there's always someone you know who you can pass and direct people on to, who helps. So if I'll just start off by 2014, it would have been, and I was an ICT teacher in Port Talbot, South Wales, which is literally slap bang centre across the south coast of. And I felt that I was at the point where I needed to do a little bit more for my professional development. So I went online and I was looking for different things that I could use, and I stumbled across what was an older version that you wouldn't have seen of MEC, the Microsoft Educator Center. And I used to spend my lunch times just sitting down and working through these courses. There was nowhere near the number of courses that there are today, but they were of benefit, and I was finding it was helping me with my teaching and learning. And then all of a sudden it popped up that I had become a certified MIE, and it was something I was really, really proud of. And there was that encouragement then to take that step and apply to become an MIE expert. And if I'm honest, having seen MIE expert on some Twitter accounts and the types of people they were, I didn't think that I was good enough. I didn't think that that I would have a chance. If I put an application in, it would be embarrassing. And how wrong I was. It was wonderful to be in a room at one point with 12 other teachers from across the UK, and with the Microsoft Schools lead for the UK sitting down, and every single person was there saying, I don't know why I'm here. I don't know why I'm part of this program. I'm not doing anything special. I'm just an ordinary teacher. And actually, that's what makes the MIE community so special. It's because it's just teachers who love their job, who just get on with it and support each other. And that's what it's all about. And that's why I'm so proud to tell people that I'm an MIE expert. I'm so proud to put that hashtag on everything that I create. And it's brilliant to know that this is what you are working towards. When I was training to be a teacher, I was given some amazing advice by the deputy head of the school that I was in. He said, surround yourself with those who will bring out the best in you. And it's a piece of advice that I've always passed on to student teachers who I've had the opportunity to mentor. And the MIE community is a community that supports, encourages, and drives you as an individual. And you become better because of it. You know, when you get those two pupils in the class and they're always looking to kind of do better than the person next to them. So if one person kind of does something, the other person's got to do something better, and then they're always trying to top each other. In a nice way, that's what the MIE expert community does. Is you see somebody's done something and you say to them, right, how did you do that? And then you want to go one better, and then they come back and is that like healthy? It's not necessarily rivalry, but it's healthy work. It's almost like a working together, and pupils are the ones who benefit from these relationships. Now, Tom asked me to go through my application with you. Now, the application has changed since I first did it. Back in the day, it was creating an office mix. And I remember sitting in a quiet little office with the voiceover on it. And I was just talking about how I'd been using OneNote, which was at that time really new in the classroom. And as an IT teacher, it was a lifesaver for me because I could show my marking and I could gather that evidence easily. And I was saving money on toner and paper. And I wasn't having to have folders with all their work in. And my application was all about how I'd been using OneNote with my pupils. Now, today, that's the norm. You know, lots of teachers are just, that's day-to-day working. But I have not got that video anymore. But I have got my application from last year. And when I was looking at it, the one thing I really want to stress is that I've been an MIEE expert since 2015. So every year I've added more to it and more to it and more to it. So you will get an insight into the opportunities that being part of this community ultimately bring to you. Okay, so remember now, this is a number of years that I've been building up to this. And when I went through it, I was looking at it thinking, wow, I've had so many opportunities from being part of this, and I've learned so much. So I'm going to share my screen with you now. Bring this over here. Okay, so hopefully you can you see this way now?
Yes.
Yes, okay. That photo was taken at BET 2019. That's in the background. And when I talk about community, there's myself, how I ended up in the main BET arena speaking about using Skype and Flipgrid to amplify student voice. I've got no idea, but the lady alongside me, Kathy, is an MIE from America. And it's, you know, when you think about it, it's not just about the UK, it's global as well. So there are now questions that we have to answer as part of the application. Okay, why do you consider yourself to be a Microsoft Innovative Educator expert? And don't be afraid to blow your own trumpet here. If you're doing something good in the class that's having an impact, about it. There's a lot of people who really don't like talking about it. So I just went through, apologies for the photo. I just went through and I just wrote down everything that I have done about my career, how I've used MEC, how I have looked at something and gone, okay, how can this help my pupils? Okay, it's more than just kind of using something. It's kind of thinking a bit bigger than that and looking at the bigger picture. And really, it's been a journey. Okay, so one of the great things is the encouragement that you have from Microsoft to take a step. So once you become an MIE expert, they encourage you to become a trainer. Now, that doesn't mean that you leave your school. It doesn't mean that you set up your own company or your own business, but it's all to do with supporting your peers. And it could be running lunchtime drop-in sessions. It could be organizing teach meets. It could be coming online like this and taking opportunities to speak to others. There is a course to prepare you for that. And on passing that course, you're eligible then to kind of start training people and be recognized for it. So you have the MIE trainer, which means that you've trained 100 people. It doesn't need to be 100 different people. It could be 10 sessions with the same 10 people, or 4 sessions with the same 25. Okay, but then the next step after that is master trainer, which means that you have trained 400 within an academic year, and you have calls with product teams, with the product teams. So you'll have the manager from Redmond on a call, and they actually give you some insight into some of the new things that are coming which haven't been released yet. So it's a real benefit to, as a school, your school, to have someone who's on the trainer program or the trainer pathway, because they're able to kind of think about the direction they're going to go in, knowing what's coming down the track. So the other thing that we're encouraged to do is look at qualifications. And over the last few years, becoming an MIEE expert means that you actually get a voucher to sit one of the either the MOS certification or the MCE, Microsoft Certified Educator. And I'd really want to encourage you to kind of have a look into these when the time is right for you, because for example, with the MOS, we've used PowerPoint and we use Word frequently, but it wasn't until I sat down and worked towards these exams, which are a 1 hour online exam, I came to realize just how amazing these applications are. And we only ever scratched the surface of their potential. And actually, some of my pupils actually sat the PowerPoint one as well. Some of the year 9 pupils did it. And as a result of that, the standard and quality of their work has just blown me away from this point on. So we've got this, these are options that become available to you, and they can direct you to test centers. But it really gets you thinking about how you are as a teacher and the tools that you use and the impact that they can have. The Microsoft educator community has so many branches of it, and one of the things I was introduced to, I'd used Skype in my classroom. I often tell people it's one of the biggest regrets of my career, Skype in classroom, that I didn't start using it sooner. I honestly thought that I was going to need some elaborate webcam setup in the classroom, microphones everywhere, and it was to my shame and embarrassment that I discovered it was a off-the-shelf webcam, £10 from Tesco's, that literally removed the walls of my classroom and opened up a world of learning and experiences to my pupils. And through this community, I was introduced to MIEE experts who were also Skype master teachers. And in total, there's, I think there's about 190 to 200 in the world. And these are teachers who utilize Skype for curriculum-based activities or for the equally valuable personal development of children. How do we teach empathy? How do we develop global citizens with children who will never go further than 50 miles from their home? How do we help them to realize that there's a bigger world out there, and actually they've got a big part to play in it in the future? How do we help to remove any stereotypes they may have of people from other countries? And I was fortunate enough to be accepted after running a project, having been inspired by some of these SMTs, to be accepted as a Skype master teacher. And I've had some wonderful opportunities. And even last year, I was invited for 6 months to work for Skype in a classroom, finding new partners to be involved with the virtual field trips and as guest speakers. But yeah, so that's another opportunity that opened up to me as a result of being an MIEE expert. Okay. I just said I've just spoken about Flipgrid. It was through Kathy, who you saw in that very first picture of her standing on a stage, that I was introduced to Flipgrid. She came to BET in 2018, off her own back, and I was there with Skype in the classroom. I'd been invited as a teacher to present for them there in the Learn Live Theatre. And I saw Kathy walk past with this rucksack on with Flipgrid badge in it. Now, I'd heard about it. It was relatively new, but I'd seen kind of things being mentioned on social media. And I went up to her and I said, right, you Flipgrid, you need to teach me about it. And it turned out that she was looking for me because she knew I was going to be there speaking about Skype. So we kind of became friends. and mentors to each other in those two things. And as we joked that we met at BET, and our once upon a time story ended up the following year, the two of us presenting at BET together about that meeting and how we've helped and supported each other. And through using Flipgrid, Flipgrid have told me I was one of the first teachers in the UK to actually adopt it and became the first student voice ambassador in the UK, and was one of the first 12 grid guys, which is like a certified trainer for Flipgrid in the world. There's more now. I was the first one in the UK. There's one more in Scotland. I'm not sure if there's any others. But again, being part of the MIEE community introduced me to these and introduced me to the people. And I learned about these tools, and my pupils have benefited from it. And I've been able to help and support other teachers. And as a result, Flipgrid is now part of the national platform in Wales, which all teachers have got access to, called Hub. So there's almost like a national VLE that there's 500,000 users, pupils and teachers are accessing, and Flipgrid is now part of that. So again, I would not have known of these things if I wasn't an MIEE expert. In 2015, I was fortunate enough to be selected as one of 12 teachers to go to Budapest by Microsoft Education UK at what's called E2, the Educator Exchange, where MIEs have the opportunity to apply to go there with 300 teachers from across the world and spend 4 days together learning, working with experts, working with product teams, and developing resources that then can be easily rolled out across the world to other teachers. And while I was there, I was introduced to Minecraft Education Edition. Now, I'd always thought Minecraft was just simply a game. And it was while I was at E2, I was introduced to an MIE called James Prothero, who again, now we've become really, really good friends. And also one of the most inspirational speakers I've ever met, a man called Stephen Reed from Scotland, who it's worthwhile following him. He was the keynote speaker for that time we were there. He runs a company called Immersive Minds. And he's been running some amazing live streams this week of helping teachers to get to grips with Minecraft Education Edition. And it was through their help and their support that I became a certified Minecraft teacher. So again, if I wasn't an MIE, I wouldn't have had the opportunity to go to Budapest, and I wouldn't have met these people, and I wouldn't have at that time found out about the benefits of Minecraft Education Edition, and my pupils wouldn't have benefited, because now they're using it in not just in the classroom environment, but we've got it being used as part of our enrichment for helping pupils who've got statements and targets for improving communication skills and working with others, and we're using Minecraft to help them to develop that as well. We all love surfaces. I certainly do. It's my chosen tool. I don't go anywhere without my Surface. And being an MIE meant that there was an opportunity to join what was at the time, sadly it's not around anymore, but at the time they had the Surface Master Trainer program, which was open to teachers from the UK and America to work with the Surface team and get the latest updates, and then test and trial different things and give feedback into the way that products were being used, and also the recognition of being able to train teachers on the effective use of the Microsoft Surface as an educational tool. So again, if I hadn't been an MIE, I wouldn't have known about this opportunity, and I wouldn't have had the benefit from that, which ultimately the benefit came from, the benefit was filtered down to my colleagues, especially when I'm at school where every single member of staff is using a Surface. So the next big question that we're asked in our application is describe how you've incorporated Microsoft technologies in innovative ways in your classroom, include artifacts that demonstrate your innovation. Do you know what? A lot of teachers share on Twitter the things that they're doing. So you'll be surprised. Just go back through your Twitter if you're doing that, and find some pictures that where you've been using Microsoft products effectively and innovatively in your classroom, where they've had impact, and as I've gone through, here are just some simple ways of the things that we've been doing. As I said, OneNote was one of the first ones that I wrote about. In this case, we were looking at pupils using the microbits, and these pupils were using the virtual microbit through the site Make Code, and then they were documenting their work and gathering evidence and putting it into OneNote. So they were creating they were documenting all of their learning in there. So there was records of all the codes that they were creating, and they were evaluating the things that they were doing. We've got Minecraft being used by a number of year groups, where we had primaries, because I'm in a school that's for 3 to 16-year-olds, we were having the pupils to plan and develop a town. So it wasn't just letting them go wild. They had to think about, if we're establishing a new town, what do we need that's there? And they were kind of working out the necessary things that a town needs to kind of operate and survive. We were allowing them to design their dream classroom. So they were having to look at, okay, what are the necessary things for a classroom? Those were being done with the younger pupils to help them get used to using the tool collaboratively. We developed for year 7s a project called Property Developer. So we created a catalog in Excel and a project document, so that the pupils would have to plan and cost up 3 different houses using the different tools and features within Excel. Then they'd have to build them in Minecraft and kind of evidence the builds that they had in their spreadsheet, and then manage that portfolio in Access, so that they became like a proper property developer. So they were gaining those really important real world experiences, so the pupils could no longer go, what's the point of me learning about Excel and Access? When am I ever going to use it? Here's a prime example of how it's used in the real world. And you can see there I've mentioned about how we started up a Minecraft club as part of the pupil enrichment program. And Code was a great way as well of introducing some pupils to coding. And I love the way that you had some kids who were there with keyboards, and then you had other kids who were coming in and actually coding with their Xbox controllers. So they were able to we were giving them free reins on, you find the method that's most comfortable for you. I said about Skype in a classroom having huge impact. We actually started a Skype club, and it's actually a program that's rolled out. It's been rolled out now across a number of schools across the world. Lunchtimes and after schools, we would play mystery Skype, we do virtual field trips, and teachers would be invited in to come and see it being used in the classroom. And an awful lot of those conversations ended with, how can I use this in my subject area? And we were fortunate enough to be awarded, highly commended as a digital project by the Welsh Government in their digital awards for our Skype club. There we go. And I love this picture. How many kids can go home and say that they've dabbed with an elephant? But they did. And this little girl here that you can see there, Abigail, she's in year 11 now. And when they all stepped away from the board, she stood there with her hand touching the board, and she was smoothing the elephant's trunk. And as far as she was concerned, she was touching that elephant. That's how real these experiences are for our pupils. And that's why we should never say, oh, I'm not going to use that tool, I'm not comfortable using it. We tell kids to step out of their comfort zone and try new things. And as teachers, we need to do the same things. We need to step out of our comfort zones and try new things for the benefit of our children. And you can see in the space of that, this was for a Skype-a-thon event, over 350,000 miles traveled in 48 hours across the school, and that's all through Skype calls, which was amazing. And we had the Ospreys rugby team and Swansea City Football Club came in and joined us for those calls as well. So you can see some of the players there. And our digital leaders got to speak with Anthony Salcito at Microsoft as well to discuss digital learning. And they give him their advice on how it should be and how Microsoft should be changing things. So you can see I've gone through and I've just talked about the different things, shown the things that pupils have done. We run a transition project with Flipgrid where year 6 pupils can post questions to a grid and our pupils answer it, not the teachers, the pupils answer it. What if I forget to do my homework? What if I'm late for school? What if I can't wear my uniform on a day? All of the worries and concerns that pupils have, our pupils are answering it for them. And then some of the pupils came and actually presented it to teachers from across Wales at a national event. There was a teacher who was there who heard this, and she was an MIE. She was there. She heard the pupils talking about it. She went home. She ran a Flipgrid project, which was her grandmother being interviewed over Flipgrid by the kids from her class about what it was like to live through World War II. And this is E2 in Paris. This is E2 in Paris last year. And Flipgrid actually showcased this, as in this is what community learning is all about. A teacher sharing with a teacher who then used it within the classroom. And on that side is the picture of the girls presenting. And then on this side is Kelly with her grandmother responding to all the children. So as we come through, we talk about the impact of the learning of our colleagues. And I've just spoken about the growth in our school. There were 3 of us who were MIEs to start off with in 2015. Now we've got 10 MIE experts, 2 Skype master teachers, two certified Flipgrid educators, and it's growing. And that number is growing and growing and growing. And we encourage all of our teachers to apply for it. And there's men who go, oh, no, I couldn't do that. And you sit down, you say, right, well, tell me what you're doing with year 10 at the moment. And actually they find that they've got a wonderful portfolio there of evidence ready to put an application in. And it's just encouraging them to take that step. I've had opportunities to go with Microsoft and speak at BET. And these are in there. And I'll be honest with you, it's scary. But I look back at it fondly, and the conversations I've had and the opportunities I've had to kind of pass on my experiences to others. I got to speak about MEC and using Windows 10 here, and this is Skype in the classroom. And then speaking with the wonderful Diane there on Skype in the classroom, developing global communities. And then with Kathy the following year, and had opportunities to be involved in podcasts. I would never ever have imagined any of this would have been possible. I would have been doing any of this back in 2015. Before I put my application in, or even when I put it in, I didn't even think I'd be doing any of this. And up at Microsoft's offices in Paddington, just about what we're doing in school, and hearing some wonderful stories. There's a school, a Sager school up around the Manchester area, who use Sway to work with people from their community with dementia in building their life stories together. Wonderful uses of technology there, where teachers have been inspired by other teachers from within the community. And I just document the different opportunities I've had to go and speak to others across Wales and with friends. I get friends from Indianapolis who will get in touch with me and say, do you mind Skyping with my kids' class and telling them some Welsh stories? And I've had some brilliant. I was actually sitting in my car there using my mobile phone, Skyping Steve Oslander's kids and telling them the wonderful Welsh tale about Gaelic the dog. So you can see, I'm just, all of these photos I've taken off Twitter. And just every time I've been involved in something, I'm hoping you get a glimpse here in seeing the opportunity. None of this was on my first application. It was just screenshots of OneNote. The video was just screenshots of OneNote. But look at the opportunities that being an MIE has presented to me, and the teachers I've come in contact with, they're friends. And I know that I can call on them at any time. Since we've all been social distancing, I don't feel alone. because my DMs and my WhatsApp and my Skype messaging, every single day I'm getting messages saying, how are you? Do you want to chat? That's how wonderful is that community to be able to be part of. And you've got to think about a plan for the next 12 months and where you want to go and what you want to be able to do. All of these photos, different stages of being an MIE expert. Is there a single one there that hasn't got smiling people in? When you look at that, that really says, this is a community I want to be part of. These are people that I want to stand side by side with. These are people who I want to be acknowledged with. This photo here in the middle, you probably recognize this person, Paul Dredge. He spoke at one of your sessions previously. We've actually got, I don't know if he told you this, we've actually got a little DM group on Twitter called the Three Amigos. Myself, Sarah Clark, and Paul. Not a single day goes by where we don't talk to each other. And last year at BET was the first time ever all three of us have been in the same room together. But not a single day goes by where we don't talk to each other. And if I have a problem, I message Paul if it's hardware or anything, and I message Sarah if it's about science or how are you doing this? Because I've got that network that's there. And knowing the kind of the passion that Tom has spoken about with you, and the fact that you're on this call right now, I'd love to have you as part of the MIE expert community with us, and I'd love to help you get there. And I'd love to help you with your application, and I'd love to see online you also gaining from these wonderful experiences, which ultimately will have your colleagues and your pupils and your schools and your wider communities benefit from you being part of this this wonderful community as well. So be brave, put an application together. I am more than happy to look over it and go through it and make suggestions on how you can change it as well. Do you have any questions at this time?
Well, Lanny, thank you so much. You're really inspiring as a person, and and incredibly generous as a person is what comes across. And we've only met in person once, but I also have to say I could just listen to your voice. Actually, it's very soothing and calming in this sort of rather crazy time. I think what's lovely about what you've said is you've really talked about the community side of things, and you've also talked about how you didn't imagine this could all be possible for you. And I think that's something that gets in. Yeah, and I think that's something that gets in all of our way through all of our lives with whatever it is that we're doing. And we think, no, that's not possible, or that couldn't be me, or I'm not that sort of person. And actually, the way you've just presented there is just saying, no, that's all self-talk rubbish. Actually, all of this is possible. So thank you so much. I've got some questions, but I'd rather let other people go first. So has anyone, I think probably the easiest thing is if people just unmute themselves, if they've got anything for Lanny on his application, on what he just said, or anything more generally around Flipgrid and Skype in the classroom.
Hiya, this is Steve.
Hi, Steve.
All right, and just a quick question. I'm in. Did you say you were in a through school?
Yes.
Yeah, so I'm in 316. That's what I thought. I'm in primary, and like a lot of primaries, it's not the most well-off primary. But I'm just wondering how you cope with kids. Do they do stuff at home, or was it mainly done within the school? And if it was at home, how did you cope with the technology of the kids that don't have access to that?
Yeah. So the school I'm in at the moment, we only opened 4 years ago, and it was the result of amalgamation of 4 schools within a local authority, 3 secondary and a primary. But the area of, Port Talbot, we are, but the area of Port,
I'm from Gewin.
All right. So, so I was with. So you'd know the area. So if I said to you Sandfields, no one else on the call would know the area, but it is an area where it's high deprivation, all the social issues that go along with it, high levels of unemployment, and a lot of what you saw in my application started at Sandfields.
Right. Okay.
Okay, so you've got a school that was literally crumbling down around you.
Yeah.
And the PCs were getting on. But there are teachers out there who I've met who were doing amazing things with equipment that we would deem suitable for the skills. And it's so humbling. And we have got problems where there's kids who do not have access to it, and especially at a time like this, there's an awful lot at the moment on social media, and there's an awful lot of pressure, I think, that with remote learning, get the work to kids, get the work to kids, get the work to kids, and I've actually raised before, and I said, well, in some cases it's going to be fine, because the kids have got access and they can carry on as normal. But what about the families where in a good scenario there's 1 PC and there's 3 children?
Yeah, no, absolutely.
Kind of like if you're in a school environment where your resources are limited, or it's in a home environment, I think the key is actually sitting down and saying, what do we want to achieve here, and what plan can we put in place that allows us to work within the restrictions that we actually have. So we've got some of our classes with us are working one-to-one with devices.
Okay.
And we're fortunate to be in that position. And when we say, like, we're going to use Flipgrid to do this, that, and the other, and the kids will sit there, but what if it's a class that's just got 2 laptops? How do you facilitate the same? And that's sometimes where your innovation needs to kick in.
Yeah.
And you need to say, right, what we'll do is we'll set up a recording corner, and I'll write up a schedule of when I want the pupils to go and record, and we'll keep an activity going. So that I'll say, right, John, you've got your 5 minutes now over to the recording corner. And Flipgrid, actually, if you keep a lookout online, Flipgrid do little competitions to win recording pods. So they honestly, they are the most sought after thing ever. People fight over them and the purple one-note capes. They are like what everybody wants. But it really is just a green pop-up tent. It looks like the type you'd get in a campsite and put a toilet in it.
Yeah.
But you throw a beanbag in there, and you put an iPad in there, or you put a little laptop in there, and the kids will go and sit in there, and they'll record, and you're still getting what you want. And I think sometimes it's always good. The first thing we did when we started a new school, even though it was rich with what we had within the walls of the school, we did a survey to ask the kids what access have you got at home, and trying to find out where they are, and say, right, how can we support the kids? So if it means opening up rooms at lunch times, if it means running things after school for an hour, then that's what we'll have to do. But the last thing I honestly feel we should do is start saying to parents, you need to buy this, you need to buy this, you need to buy this, because parents may only be able to afford a certain type of device, spend their money on it, and it's not suitable for for what really needs to be done, and no one's going to benefit from it at all then.
Yeah.
But there's I'd never ever be afraid. If you're faced with a challenge where it's like, I really can't work out how I'm going to do this, go to Twitter and post a question out there. Use the right hashtags. You know, whether if it's a Flipgrid thing, post hashtag Flipgrid Fever. And there are teachers all over the world who may well have encountered this problem, and they'll answer it, and they'll give you that help and support that they can. Flipgrid are wonderful at picking out when somebody posts asking for help. There, we've got a private group which they straight away send a tweet to and say, "Can somebody help with this?" So it's not the product people trying to help you. They straight away give it to teachers to say, "Is there anyone who can help with this?" And it's the same. If it's a Microsoft thing, hashtag MIE expert. Are there any MIE experts out there who are able to help me with this? Don't be afraid to tag the actual product people in as well. So if there's something to do with Teams, put at Microsoft Teams on there, because teachers will also they'll also get teachers involved in that as well. And they're so approachable. They are so approachable. But yeah, it's sometimes it may take a while to work out a solution. But it's don't ever try to deal with it on your own.
Yeah, no, I think that's a good one, man.
Don't ever try to deal with it on your own. I hope that's helped.
Yeah, no, it has a lot actually. It's really good to think a little bit more how it is actually possible to do things. So yeah, no, thanks.
Thanks, Steve. Thanks, Paul. You mentioned the community a lot, Paul, Lanny, and talking there about going on Twitter to ask questions. What is the best way that you've found about getting connected with the MIEE community and getting into that community and staying connected to that community? Is it Twitter, or are there other things?
Twitter's my go-to place. I'll be honest with you. Twitter is the go-to place with regards to professional. Okay. Now you may think LinkedIn is the place to go if it's like a professional thing, but really Twitter's the place. Twitter is the educator's Facebook. Well, that's the best way to look at it. And what I would do is look out for the people who've got the MIE expert, hashtag MIE expert on their bio. But also once a month, Microsoft hosts a tweet meet, which is called the MSFT EDU chat. And you'll always see it advertised. And there's the last one was all about what does it mean to be a global change maker. So there were discussions around that. It's normally on a Wednesday, and it's for about an hour. Normally I think it's between 6 and 7. It's normally between 6 and 7, but you'll always see it, and I can make sure that Tom gets the details of the dates and he can distribute them out to you as well. But they're so valuable, and it's in that time you'll get to see the people, and it's like the moment they're responding, follow them. The moment someone responds, follow them. I'm on the same wavelength as this person and me, we're like a kindred educator, right? Boom, follow them. And just get involved. Just get involved. They've had one. There was. I'll be honest. It was one where I hardly tweeted a thing. I think I just put the first one in saying, "Hi, Lanny here from Wales. Really looking forward to this evening," and it was all on how AI can benefit education, which isn't something which a lot of schools are going to be looking at the moment. But I just sat back in awe, just reading everything that was being posted by teachers across the world who have got a real passion for it and a real knowledge and understanding and a vision. Did I get anything out of it? And because I did, and I wasn't tweeting, yeah, I got loads out of it. Because I just sat back, and sometimes, don't feel that you have to get involved, but I'd encourage you, kind of introduce yourself, and throw your 5 pence worth in there, because they'll ask for your experiences. And really, sometimes if you post out something that you've done, that this went well, sometimes just getting that little message back from another teacher going, I absolutely love that idea, or it fills you with such confidence to say, oh, good, I'm glad someone kind of has approved as well.
Yeah.
And it opens up that dialogue between the two of you as well. But yeah, so look out for those. But yeah, keep looking out for kind of if there's any tweet meets going on. Always have a look out for those as well, and get involved in those. But the Microsoft one once a month is a very, very good one to get involved with.
Paul, I'm slightly conscious of your time, but are there any more questions that people have got? Just one more from me then, really quickly, okay. Paul. We had a session on Skype in the Classroom and Flipgrid a couple of weeks ago. I'm not sure whether people have been off and used and tried those things. If you were just giving some 2 or 3 top tips on those 2 products to get started with, what would you recommend a really simple starter that people can go and do with those 2 bits of software?
Okay, so Skype in the Classroom, my go-to place if you've never used it before. Okay, first thing I would do is I would go on to the Microsoft Educator Center, and I'd have a look at the courses, the free courses they got on there for Skype in the Classroom, and just to get your head around it and understand a little bit more about it. Okay, the one thing I'm telling you is don't be scared by it. Don't be scared by it. It's using technology that you're probably used to using in your own personal life. A good starting point is the virtual field trips. Okay, so if you were scared about using it within your classroom environment, organize a virtual field trip for lunchtime and open it up, advertise it in your school and say, we're going to try out Skype in the Classroom. If any teachers want to come along, if pupils want to come along, come to this room at this time. And the zoos and museums are always the go-to place to kind of get started. Okay, there is an amazing virtual field trip with the Turtle Hospital in Florida, which gets everyone loves turtles, and they are amazing at presenting. And it is live, and it is one-to-one, so it's not like there's all other schools joining in. It's just you and them, and just let the kids talk. Any questions they have, let them ask questions. These people who run them are amazing, and they are so experienced. Okay, think about the time zones as well. So the East Coast of America, you're more than likely going to be hitting around lunchtime. So there's some good. The Intrepid Air and Space Museum in New York is also amazing. They got a space lesson and an aviation lesson, which are just amazing. Okay, so try those first of all. Also, with Flipgrid, there are 2 guides to download. There is and I'll make sure I'll send the links out to Tom to distribute. There are PDFs that have been written by teachers for teachers. One of them is the best use of the camera and the shorts, and it's how to be creative with that. The shorts camera, which is you're able to produce a 3-minute video using the camera tools in Flipgrid, but you can then use that video anywhere. So it's not kind of embedded just in a grid or within a topic. You can use it anywhere. And then there's the general teacher's guide, the teacher's guide to Flipgrid, which again was written by teachers for teachers, and it's a PDF, and it takes you step by step through how to start where you've got nothing, logging in for the first time. So again, Flipgrid have got courses as well on the Mac, so have a look at those as well. Create a grid for your class and just ask them a question. Just say, introduce yourself and tell me what is your favorite app and why. And it could be an app that's on a PC, it could be an app on a mobile phone, and it just gets kids talking. They're a bit of a YouTube generation, any of this lot. They love kind of recording themselves, and they all want to be vloggers when they're older. Well, there's an opportunity here in a safe environment for them to start using a tool, and then you can build it from there. Tell them to be as creative as possible using some of the stickers in there and putting text on it, which is very, very easy to do. So, so yeah, give them that first of all, so they get used to the environment.
Yeah,
but those are two good ways to get started.
That's so helpful, Paul, and just what we need. I'll give everyone. I think I already have your Twitter name, so people can follow you on there. But unless there is anything else from anyone right now, I will just say again, Paul, thank you so much for giving up your time to be to come on and talk to us all about this. So useful, particularly in these times, and just a lovely talk about community and being together is fantastic.
No, it's been lovely being with you, and you know where I am, and I've got no problems as well. If you want to give my email address out to people as well, they can get in touch. That's fine as well.
All right, Paul, you're a very generous person. Thank you very much, and great to see everybody. And I will post up onto the team some what we're going to be doing next shortly. Thank you.
Thanks, Lanny. Thank you.
Cheers.
Thank you. Lovely seeing you all. Take care.
Thank you very much.
Bye. Bye.
Thanks, Paul.
Bye.